Oh my goodness, we have the greatest Trumposphere hypocrisy hysterical story of 2025, and you do not want to miss this. I'm going to show it to you in a few seconds here at Occupy Democrats. But you know, Trump's favorite musician is, of course, Kid Rock. That's the guy who looks a little like he needs a shower or hasn't been home in a long period of time, but just loves him some Donald Trump. And he even has a restaurant in Nashville, my hometown, which is going to be the center of the story I'm going to show you in just a few seconds. But you remember what Kid Rock recently did when he got really angry at the liberals? This?
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible.
And of course, right after that, he shoots up a couple of cases of Bud Light with an AK-47. But he was very dialed in the election and very, very proud of how much he really likes Donald Trump because he's such a good businessman, right? Remember this?
I've had a front row seat to a lot of this. Very privileged, very proud to have one.
Why do people have such an attachment to him?
Guy's a great guy. I endorsed him when he came down that elevator. I wanted the business guy to run it. Get somebody else in there that's fiscally responsible.
Yeah.
Has a brain, can forward think for themselves.
And then he gets asked just now how Trump's doing after the first 100 days.
I'm glad he's okay. Maybe we would have dealt with him a little bit differently than most people. Your assessment, Kid Rock, of the first 100 days?
Van-frickin-tastic. I mean, I think I heard it said this morning, he is the commander-in-chief, but, having a businessman-in-chief.
Fantastic, he says. You know, the guy that patriotism's at an all-time high when all we see are protests and people, and his approval rating of how he's handling possibilities on Medicaid cuts is at 76% disapproval.
The business of America has been, as we all know, terrible, especially the last 4 years, but really for decades before this. And have somebody come in that's just putting our country first, securing the border. I call him the dragon slayer, for just bringing the real fabric of America back and, patriotism at an all-time high.
And then, of course, this is the reason he loves Trump, because as we've seen with Trump and Jets and Qatar, it's all about quid pro quo with Donald Trump. And the same clearly for Kid Rock, because Kid Rock got what he wanted via an executive order. Check this out.
First off, thank you, Mr. President, because this has happened at lightning speed. But thank you for making this happen so quick. Anyone who's bought a concert ticket in the last decade, maybe 20 years, no matter what your politics are, knows that it's a conundrum. You buy a ticket for $100, by the time you check out, it's $170. You don't know what you can charge for it, but more importantly, these bots, they come in to get all the good tickets to your favorite shows you want to go to, and then they're relisted immediately for sometimes a 400 or 500% markup.
And just like Donald, when you scratch his back, he just loves you because he's so big on immigration and protecting our borders and getting rid of bad people. Whoopsie poop, because in this breaking story, guess what just happened at Kid Rock's own restaurant? Not in Texas, not in New Mexico, not in Arizona, in Nashville, Tennessee. Check out the story.
Kid Rock's restaurant closes to avoid Trump's ICE raids. Kid Rock's Big A, Honky Tonk Rock and Roll Steakhouse in Tennessee shuttered, reportedly closed on Saturday to avoid being caught by ICE. A Nashville restaurant owned by MAGA musician Kid Rock reportedly closed over the weekend to avoid the Trump administration's ICE raids. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers in Nashville, where multiple immigrant rights groups gathered to protest what they believe to be a multi-agency operation to detain non-citizens overnight. Nashville Scene reported that Kid Rock's Big A, Honky Tonk Rock and Roll Steakhouse in Tennessee, shuttered after employees unauthorized to work in the U.S. failed to show up for work on Saturday, and those that had turned up were told any undocumented workers should leave the premises to avoid being caught by ICE. ICE agents trawled through South Nashville on Saturday evening, stopping drivers with the help of Tennessee Highway Patrol. The agency said on Tuesday that it had apprehended 196 people during the operation. Nashville restaurants The Diner and Honky Tonk Central, which are owned by Stephen Smith, were also forced to shutter during the raids, highlighting the important role undocumented workers play in the service industry. An anonymous employee at one of the 3 establishments told the Nashville Scene that the restaurant was already understaffed on Saturday because of the ICE raids. They added that the manager came back and told anyone without legal status to go home around 9:30 p.m. on Saturday evening, despite it being the busiest service of the week following major events in Nashville. It was crazy busy, but there was no one in the kitchen to cook the food, they said. ICE agents have been conducting raids and making arrests around the U.S. to fulfill President Donald Trump's promise of mass deportations for undocumented people. Kid Rock, 54, has been a staunch Trump supporter, even brokering a meeting between the president and Bill Maher. Immigration and law enforcement officials have claimed they are targeting people who pose a threat to public safety, but less than half of those arrested in Nashville on Saturday have prior criminal convictions or pending criminal charges, according to ICE. ICE and representatives for Kid Rock did not immediately respond to requests from the Daily Beast comment.
This is what I have been saying since 2016. You folks who live where I'm from, in Tennessee, in the Confederate South, all you folks who are farmers in Oklahoma and Kansas and Georgia and Ohio, when are you going to wake up and realize you are voting against your own best interests? Because when you sit around hypocritically and point fingers at the southern border and believe there's an invasion you can't handle, and yet what are you seeing, farmers? You're seeing tariffs that are going to kill you, and you're seeing a bunch of your workers go bye-bye because you employ undocumented workers because they're inexpensive and you abuse and use them, yet you vote for a man who's abusing them in the way that ICE is currently doing. And of all things, Kid Rock and his own freaking restaurant had to shut down because so many of his employees are part of the problem, Kid Rock, you claim you're so damn proud of that Trump is resolving. So I tell you what, since I was a former business owner, how about you suck it up and start paying people a living wage and go out and hire some of those documented American citizens to work at your restaurant and open back up, since you have so much hubris and so much money, and realize you can still make money at your restaurant. You just can't make an extra 20 or 30% because of the very undocumented workers you're paying nothing, which you also simultaneously complain about standing next to your MAGA boy, Donnie Trump. Wake up, Kid Rock. You are part of the problem. You guys stay frosty. I'll see you soon.